Hi everyone, I'm here to review a clown purchase because it was half off and I couldn't resist. I'm going to be doing a sponge and a brush demo, and while you watch, I will try my best to describe everything. So first things first, as you can see, the skin tint is almost has like a foamy, moussey kind of look to it because it is so thick. As you could see, it didn't pour down my hand at all. I feel like I have to really work it in, swirl it around before I can put it on my skin. Now, the swatches online are way lighter than the real life product is way lighter than the swatches online looked like, which I actually think a lot of people mentioned. So as you can see, I didn't get the right shade, but oh well. It goes on okay with a sponge. I think sponge is probably going to be the way I would use it if I were to use it again. As you can see, it has trouble blending out. I feel like I have to work much harder than if I use my other foundations, which blend out much faster. Very dewy. You can see it imparts a lot of glow to my face, and it has extremely minimal coverage. I feel like some tinted moisturizers, they have minimal coverage, but they at least cover your redness. This one, honestly, I don't really feel like there's any point to wearing this, because if I'm gonna put something all over my face, I want it to cover something. But I will say I actually really like using this as a mixer for some of my foundations that don't match me, because for some reason it mixes really well into other foundations. So my current favorite thing to use this for is to mix with my Charlotte Tilbury foundation, the Airbrush Flawless one. But here, as you can see, it is not blurring in the slightest in my opinion. It emphasizes everything because it's so glowy. Here I'm going to do a little just kind of show on my hand how it just kind of operates, just so you guys can see on the back of my hand. I feel like it's very thick. I feel like you can really see it on my skin. I had a lot of trouble working with it. Honestly, super mediocre product. Now the concealer, again, the swatches online are so light, so I got the total wrong shade, as you can see here. This concealer, I tried to use it with a sponge, and the sponge just took it all away and left behind the weirdest texture on my skin ever. However, as you can see here, if I put on that little dab and I use it with a brush, I actually get a very pleasant result that I actually low-key kind of like. I feel like this concealer, it's so thick that it's almost as if you took a cream or pot concealer and then liquefied it. That's how thick and high coverage it feels. So if I use a little bit and then use a brush and treat it like it's a pot concealer, I find it actually looks alright. Now, would I go for this over my actual pot concealers? Not really. It's really dry, so if I don't use a hydrating under eye primer beforehand, it's gonna emphasize all the dry spots, and you can see here, even still, when I had to add a second layer, that some dryness starts. Neither of these products layer well at all, so definitely really interesting. Now I'm going to put on some under eye setting powder so you guys can see how the product looks with powder on top. I do find both products look fine once you put a powder on top. Admittedly, some of my favorite powders, I like them because they can rescue a bad base. So the Pat McGrath under eye powder, for instance, can make bad concealer look pretty good, and the Jaclyn Robin powder can also make just about anything look really good. So my complexion looks much better after it's been powdered, but that's more about the power of the powder than anything else, as opposed to the base products themselves, which I was just here for the science. Like, I just wanted to see what would happen, and it was interesting. Am I ever gonna use these again? As I would use the skin tint again to mix, yes, because it actually, for some reason, it's a really good mixer. But the concealer, I mean, maybe just for novelty purposes, I guess. Okay, so in this demonstration, I'm going to be putting it on, and then I'm going to use a flat top thick foundation brush from IT Cosmetics. It's the Velvet Luxe collection. It's a good brush. I am not a brush person, but if I do use a brush, I use this brush. It's really good, and I hate it with a brush. It looks terrible. Like, it just looks so bad. It feels like it's like it gets pulled up by the brush, leaving behind this very speckled, mottled texture. Emphasizes all of my dry patches. I feel like maybe sometimes even it pills sometimes. I have no idea, but I don't like it with a brush at all. I also felt like it took even longer to use a brush than a sponge. Like the sponge already took long enough because this product really doesn't want to blend, but with a brush, I mean, I really had to work at it, and I had to, you know, I stipple it because I don't want it to like peel off my face. But like, no, this is not a brush thing. I do know on her website she was like, oh, use your fingers, but I'm never gonna use my fingers with skin tints or foundations. It just feels so gross to me. I don't want to get pigment all over my fingers that I then have to wash off, so no thanks. So yeah, brush is a huge no. I ended up speeding up a lot of this footage because look how long it takes me to use a brush on this thing. Yeah, it was interesting. My curiosity was sated and I found the experience fascinating. So in and of itself, I can consider it somewhat worth it, especially because at least I only paid half price. But like, would I ever recommend this? I think I can join the chorus of people who don't like this at all, which is like, I mean, is anyone like surprised though? As for wear time with powder, it wore fine. Now note that I don't step outside during the summer, so this is indoor wear time only. But yeah, I hope you guys found this little video to be like somewhat helpful about just this weird product, and I'm gonna sign off for now. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Bye bye.